you ready to boost your confidence when selling so you're able to close more deals? Nikki Roush will show you how to build a foundation of skills and a mindset that creates sales success without feeling pushy or salesy and without fear of rejection. She is a sales strategist and coach with more than 25 years of sales experience and is master certified in neuro-linguistic programming. This is a radically different approach to selling. It's a no sleaze, no slime, and no stress approach to building your business. This is Sales Maven. Here's Nikki.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Sales Maven Show. I'm your host, Nikki Roush, your own personal sales maven, here to offer you tips, techniques, and strategies to master your sales conversation. In today's episode, we are going to talk about how to stop wasting time pre-planning for your sales calls. I know that goes against what most people would say, right? Shouldn't you be pre-planning? Yes, absolutely. But there are some things that are popping up that I'm seeing lately with clients and with others that really is a time suck and it's just wasting time. So I want to address those in case you find yourself in one of these situations. And of course, I'll give you some resources of what to be doing instead and some places for you to get some additional information. Before I hop into the content today, I want to give a shout out to a 5-star review that was left for the podcast. And the title is Always Right on Time. It says, Nikki must have a listening device in my office because her advice on her podcast is always right on time and what I need to hear in the moment. I find myself nodding and saying, oh, that's a great idea often, and then putting the advice into action right away. Thank you, Nikki, for sharing your brilliance so generously. And this is from Elaine. Elaine, thank you so much. What an awesome review that you left for me. I am eternally grateful for that. And nothing makes me happier than to read that I'm giving you advice right when you need it and that you then go and implement it and put it into action. Congratulations. Implementers always get results. And this means you're it. You've got it. You've got this in spades. Like go continue to prosper. I love this. Congratulations. If you haven't left a review yet for the podcast and you would like to, please do. They mean the world to me and they help others find their way and be willing to take a chance on a podcast with somebody that they have maybe never heard about before. So I would be so grateful if you would. So thank you for that. All right, let's dig into these things that are happening for pre-planning during a sales call that really are a waste of time. So here's the situation that you might relate to. This is a situation that my clients often find themselves in. Somebody has reached out to them and initiated a call, wanted to get on a call with them, has initiated that they're interested in hiring them potentially, or wants to find out more about their services. And here are some things, there is actually 3, and I'm going to talk through each one of them, that people are doing that are just tremendous time sucks, things that are not actually helping you close the deal. So number 1 is that people go into this huge deep dive research mode and they start planning the proposal. Like, okay, this person has initiated, they're interested in talking to me. So now I'm going to go and do all this work and plan this really in-depth proposal. Except if you've listened to me talk on the podcast before, if you've read my 3rd book, you probably know that I think you should not be putting together a proposal until you have done a well-done discovery. And doing research before having a conversation with the prospect is not a well-done discovery. And there's nothing wrong with doing a little research unless it takes you down this rabbit hole and you spend days planning. Because here's what might happen. And I'm sure this has happened to many of you listening. It's definitely happened to me. You get on the call with the person and you realize what they are wanting is not the right fit for your business, or you don't have the right offer for them, and you're going to part ways. And now you just wasted all that time doing all this research, putting together this in-depth proposal. because you jumped the gun. You got too excited, and then therefore you just didn't have anything. Like, it was just such a huge waste of time. You could have been spending your time, putting together a really awesome offer to your email list, or you could have been spending your time, putting yourself out there in some way, or getting yourself booked on a podcast, or doing something that's actually going to move your business forward. But until you have done the discovery, doing a bunch of pre-planning, especially around the proposal, is usually not a good use of time. I have somebody in my life right now who had somebody reach out, and yes, I saw what the person wrote, the prospect wrote to them. Yes, it has some potential. Yes, it could be promising, but this person has gone down a rabbit hole. She's contacted at least 10 people asking for their advice on how she should be proposing this, and what she should know about these people that, could potentially hire her. What are some other things that she could be offering? Like, it's unbelievable to me the amount of time that she has put in before she has even had a conversation with the prospect. It was just an email that went to her, said, "Hey, we're looking for somebody who does something like what you do. Are you interested in having a conversation?" And she's just gone down this rabbit hole, and it's a time suck, because she might get on the phone and decide, not a right fit. Maybe they're not even willing to pay a fourth of what her fee is. She doesn't know yet. And until you know, you really shouldn't be doing a bunch of pre-planning for things that may never come to fruition. I know there's some quote about it's like when you worry about what's going to happen tomorrow, how you're stealing the joy from today. I don't know exactly what that quote is. You might know if you like quotes, but that's what that reminds me of. It's like, why are you stealing from today for something that may never happen? All right. Now, if you need some help on improving your discovery process, here's a couple resources I want to throw out for this number one way that people can stop wasting time, is improve your discovery process. Listen to episode 5, where I talk about how to improve your discovery process, or even episode 19, where I do an on-air coaching call with Julie Fry on how to make your consultation calls easier. That particular episode is my most downloaded episode to date, and I've gotten such great feedback. And as a matter of fact, we just did, I'm trying to think if this was episode 30. I think it was episode 30, where I had Julie back on the podcast to talk about her successes from the things that she's implemented. Go listen to those episodes if you haven't yet. If you are struggling in your discovery process, if you're worried about what questions to ask, those are the things you should be pre-planning, not the proposal part, because we don't know yet if there's even a proposal that's going to happen. All right, here's the number 2 thing that I find people do oftentimes, which it's a time waster for a potential sales call, is you start thinking about, oh my gosh, when I get this portion of the business, here's all these other pieces of business that I can get from this prospect or from this corporate client or whoever it is that you're selling to. And you start planning your discovery, or you start planning for that consultation call of the things that you want to bring up about the additional business that they could hire you for. Now, here's why this is a waste of time. You haven't earned their business yet. And until you've earned that first piece of business, don't start focusing on the second, the third, the fourth, the 10th piece of business that they could potentially give you. You've got to earn the first piece first. I had this happen with a client last year where she had an opportunity, and it was a very big, high profile client for her. And there was one division of this company that was interested in her services. But she started doing this research, kind of going down this rabbit hole, doing this research about this company. And she realized, oh my gosh, they have all these other divisions. And I could do this same thing for all these other divisions. So then she scheduled a strategy session with me and she was like, so Nikki, I want you to help me come up with language of how to tell them to bring all these other divisions to the meeting. And I was like, slow your roll, sister. Wait a minute. Hold up. We haven't earned the first piece of business. Let's not start like muddying the waters with all this other stuff, asking them to change their meeting. Because in a way, and of course, this is not her intention, but in a way, it kind of sends the message to the initial prospect, the initial division that reached out to her, that she's not really interested in their piddly little business. She's interested in the whole big enchilada, right? There's nothing wrong with wanting that, but you've got to earn that first bite first. Don't start going in for the whole thing. Stop muddying the waters. And I find this happens a lot with clients. I have this conversation. I'm giving this one example of this one client. And when we had the conversation in her strategy session, and we really talked through what the strategy was to make sure she's building deep rapport with the division that she is having the conversation with, and how the idea is to earn their business and have them become advocates so they could potentially open doors in the future for her, but that she's got to really show up and deliver on that first piece of business so that she's got raving fans inside the organization. Which, by the way, she was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I had this conversation with you, because I might have just completely blown this deal because I was thinking so far ahead. I was so far down the road of like that I was going to get all this other business. And you're right, I've got to earn this first piece of business first, which, by the way, she did. She went and earned that first piece of business. And then it turned into a much bigger contract after she got the first piece. So again, beware of trying to like jump ahead 10 steps. It's also kind of why when I teach about the selling staircase, how I always say, you don't get to skip steps in the selling staircase. Your client or prospect, they can skip steps. They can show up and be like, hey, I know we initially talked to you about this one piece of business, but we actually have, 10 other pieces of business. Would you be interested in that? Yeah, great. They get to skip the steps, but you don't. So it's the same thing in this pre-planning of your sales call. Focus on getting that first piece of business, because you might have heard this and you might already know this in your own business. But one of the easiest pieces of business to earn is repeat business. The second is referral business. So we got to do a great job and show up on that first piece so that we can earn the repeat, or so that we can earn that referral, creating those ambassadors, those advocates for us within an organization. Now, here's the third thing that comes up so much. Sometimes it makes me giggle and sometimes it makes me just like shake my head. But clients come to me often with these types of things, with this pre-planning for a potential sales call, which to me is like that discovery process, right? Or a consultation call, that getting on the phone or getting on a Zoom session with somebody and seeing, is there a potential here to earn their business in some way? And one of the things that people often do is they start coming up with objections of all the things they're going to have to change in their business once this turns into a ginormous deal. So here's an example. I had a client, we were talking about a piece of business this client was going to earn, and that it would lead to, and it really would have led to, these other pieces of business. This particular piece of business is not closed yet. And the objection was, when that happens, I need to take into account that I'm going to have to change and upgrade this portion of one of my business services. It had to do with a website. But so I'm going to have to upgrade and go to this more expensive version. So, I need to take that into consideration when I get this first piece of business. And I was like, how about let's get the business and then we'll start working on these other pieces that are not going to be a problem in this first piece of business. That comes that's like 2 or 3 orders down the road after the initial order. Then we can start factoring that into the pricing. Then we can start planning for these changes. But sometimes it's so interesting to me how we put up these objections that it's almost like those are good problems to have, right? I know when people were asking me when I just recently switched over my membership site. So the Sales Maven Society, I moved it to a completely new platform, and there were a lot of reasons for it. And one of the things that somebody said to me is, well, yeah, but what are you now paying for a month? And I shared, this is what I'm paying a month to have my membership site. And they're like, yeah, but what about when you get too many members? You're going to have to pay more. And I was like, yes, I want that to be my problem. I want to have so many members that I have to pay more to have those members, because that means more people are taking advantage of the Sales Maven Society. I'm making more money, and I will happily pay more to have more members. It's so crazy to me, these objections that people put up before they've even earned the first piece of business. I really do want that to be a problem for me. What a great problem to have. I have so many members, I need to upgrade my site again. And I need to pay more money every month. I'm laughing because I'm serious about this stuff. I hear this so much. I hear so many times where people are putting up these objections to earning this first piece of business, because when it turns into more business, it's going to cost me more money, or I'm going to have to bring on somebody or hire somebody, to help me manage the blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, why is that a negative? Why is that a negative? Now, maybe there are some reasons. I'm not trying to diminish anybody's challenges. It's just sometimes we put up these crazy roadblocks for no reason. And again, to me, these are such wastes of time and energy to be focused on things that really are not a problem. So here's some additional resources for you. If you are struggling with any of these 3 topics that I gave you today, as far as things that are how to stop wasting time pre-planning for your sales calls. So the first one is doing a deep dive in research mode when putting together a proposal before you've ever had the discovery call. Number 2 was focus too much on selling them the next thing and forgetting to earn that first piece of business. And then number 3 was putting up objections, right? Of oh my gosh, when this happens, I'm going to have to bring somebody on staff to, support this additional piece of business, or I'm going to have to upgrade my site in some way, any of these things. These are times where you need to reach out and have a coach, have an accountability partner, have somebody talk you off the ledge so you're not killing the deal, first of all, and that you're not, sabotaging your own success here. Now, I do have a couple of resources for you. These are a couple additional podcast episodes that you could listen to if you haven't yet. The first one would be, actually, I have 2 episodes on making a powerful first impression. It's episode 2 and 3. If you haven't heard those episodes yet, and you are finding you relate to some part of what I'm sharing in this episode, you might want to go back and check those episodes out, or look for or go sign up for the resource page that I have put together for podcast listeners specifically. There are some really great resources in there. One in particular is a full sales training that I offer. This is a sales training that I sell. I'm actually giving it to you as a listener for free. And it's called Authentic Sales Conversations, and it's about prospecting. And it helps you kind of pre-plan some of these conversations, the things that you should be thinking about. What are the questions that you're going to ask? How are you going to initiate the first part of the call, or that email that's even going to spur that person to get on a phone call with you. So check that resource out if you haven't yet. It's there for you. And as we wrap up today, if you are ready to ignite your sales, then I would love to invite you to join the Sales Maven Society. This is where we connect, you and me. You bring questions, you bring your concerns, you bring your particular sales challenges, and I provide answers and guidance. And I'm going to do everything I can to boost your confidence, deepen your level of knowledge around your own selling skills. In the Sales Maven Society, you get access to my training content, you get access to me, and more importantly, I think, is you get access to other members in the group who are struggling with their own challenges that ask questions you don't even know to ask yet and get answers that is going to help you continue to propel your business forward. Now, the Sales Maven Society is a monthly membership program. Right now, it's $97 a month, and I have a special promo for you to come in and do a trial of your first month. So if you go to salesmavensociety.com and enter the coupon code 27trial, all one word, 27trial, TRIAL, so 27trial, that's going to get you your first month of membership in the Sales Maven Society for $27. So you can check it out, see if it's a good fit for you. It's an incredible group, frankly, and there is a ton of resources there for you. And more importantly, you and I get to connect. So I would love to have you in the group. Come check it out. Come join it. And in the meantime, wishing you continued success in all of your sales situations. Take care. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to Sales Maven. Visit us online at yoursalesmaven.com/maven for more resources to boost your confidence and skills.